Good morning, Stampers. My name is Sherry Roth. Sorry, distracted already. Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Canada, and I'm excited to be here. Normally, I come to you live on Facebook on Friday mornings at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, but I am going to be out of town this Friday, so I'm going to do it today. So I popped in today. As you join in, be sure to say hi so I know who's here. I'm just updating my screen here so that I can see your comments. All right, so the way I start every week is I always do a draw for last week's project. So last Friday I created, good morning Mary Liz, I created this scrapbook, Halloween themed scrapbook layout using the Bon Appetit paper pumpkin kit from this month. Now a scrapbook layout is a little harder to mail. So if the winner is local, then they have a choice between the scrapbook page or this cute little Halloween card that I will pop in the mail. Well, if it's the scrapbook page, they'll have to come pick it up, or I can pop this in the mail. If it's somebody who is out of town, good morning Peggy, good morning Kim, then I will pop this in the mail for you. Okay, so how you can win. You can win by commenting. For each comment or question that you ask during the live or on the replay or on YouTube, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, you get one ticket. And then if you share the Facebook Live, or if you share the replay, or if you share the YouTube video, then you get 5 entries. Okay, so I know it hasn't been quite a week since the last video, but I've got everybody's name in here who commented and shared. All right, and the winner is Kevin at Esty. So I will send him a message, and actually I don't even need to send, I think I have his email or his mail, snail mail address, so I can just pop that in the mail for him. All right, good morning Amy, good morning Alice. Let's set this aside here. Okay, so now have you guys checked out the clearance rack? They updated the clearance rack I think earlier this week, and there are some fabulous deals on there. There's a set of markers, Stampin' Right markers on there that are pretty, they're all current colors, and it's just, you know when we do a color refresh and they release a bunch of new colors, they always do a collection, a new color collection. Well, that retired at the end of last year's catalog, so now that is on the clearance rack, so you can pick that up for really, really cheap. It's a really great deal. So, and there's lots of other great deals too. So I was super excited when I saw that these little sweet cups from the last occasions catalog were on there. So we're gonna create something using this morning. I think you guys are really gonna like it. So we're gonna combine this clearance rack item, which I double checked this morning, and it's still available. They're only available while supplies last. So if you want them, which I'm pretty sure you're gonna want them after you see what I create with it, you'll wanna pick them up right away. They are, I believe it was in Canada, $4.60 for a package of 10. I believe that's what it was. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna flip my camera around and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Oh, you ordered the markers? Good job, Mary Liz. Okay, why do I always draw blank when I go to do this here? I'm always paranoid that I'm gonna pick the wrong button and lose you guys. Oh, and I just realized I forgot to bring over my light. We might have a few more shadows than we normally do today because I don't have my light. Okay, let's see. I'll try to create over in this section where there's fewer shadows. Is that distracting having that on there? I don't know if this helps having the grid or if I should go back to the, I don't know. I think I'm gonna take this off. For my YouTube videos, I've been using this, but I can do a close-up and all you see is the mat. Okay. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna decorate this. We're gonna make it fun. Is the DSP offer still on? Yes, Alice, it is. So it's on until the end of the month, of the end of September, and it's buy 3, get 1 free. And they're a selection of patterned papers from the annual catalog. And I can post a link to that flyer in the description above this video once I finish the video, okay? All right, so this is what we're gonna create. Look how cute this is. So it's a little, like a little snow globe. And then you can still take this off and put treats. Oh, you know what I was not thinking? I attached my tag to the bottom so that it wouldn't float, and you can't take the lid fully off. Okay, I'll fix that later. I won't do that on this sample. All right, so that's what we are going to create. Isn't it fun? I'm gonna show you how simple it is to make. Here is another one. This is where I got the idea. I created this at one of my Uplines events. So this uses the magnolia. So it's still got the snow globe part at the top. It just doesn't have anything shakery inside of it. But it uses the magnolia lane suite. Isn't it beautiful? Would a K-cup fit in there? I'm almost positive it will. Let me just see. This is a little smaller than a K-cup. Oh, it might be tight. You know what, Mary Liz? After the video, I will double check and just make sure, and then I'll respond to your comment, okay? I'll double check that. That's a good question, because a K-cup in here would be really cute. Especially with, you could put a little hot chocolate K-cup with some little marshmallows around the edges, because these are food safe. So that would be really cute. Okay, so how are we gonna get started here? First of all, the patterned paper that I'm using is from the holiday catalog, and it is this gorgeous Let It Snow DSP. And several of these patterns have this gorgeous shimmer to them. Let me move over. Oh, that shadow is gonna drive me bonkers. So I don't know how well you can see that, but there's this beautiful shimmer on it. And then there's a couple patterns that don't have any shimmer. And then here's the back side. So we've got some beautiful patterns on one side, and then just something a little bit more geometrical. We got some snowflakes. I love this one. This one's so pretty. I love the Coastal Cabana and red. I love those two colors together. Okay. All right. So what you're gonna need to create this is the sweet cups, and you're going to need these little, they're those 2-part ornament pieces where you get 2 halves, and they've got this little plastic nubby thing here, and you can turn them into Christmas ornaments. So at this time of the year, you can probably get them at your local craft store. However, I picked mine up on Amazon, and the size that you need, you want 80 millimeters. That's the size that you need. So I will try to remember to link to them in the description after the video so that you can find them. And what you do, you only need half. And I'm just gonna use, these are our old rubber scissors. I use them when I cut things that I don't want to, where I don't necessarily, I'm not worried about wrecking my scissors, because you wouldn't want to use your fine point scissors to do this. So I'm just cutting that little nubby bit off. Mary Liz, she's jumping ahead. Okay, all right, so next up, we are going to take, where's my kit here? Okay, another thing that I will link is there are some wonderful demonstrators out there who have created a template for the base. So I will also link to the template that I used. Now, when we carried these in the Occasions catalog, I tried a couple different templates and I could not get them to work. So I was a little hesitant to try again, but this one that I found, it works out perfectly. The only thing that I needed to do was you can see here, she suggested that you cut here, but I extended it just a little longer. I'd rather have a little bit of overlap. Michelle says she wants to win this one. I would rather have a little bit more overlap than have it too short. So I cut it a little bit longer. All right. When you do print out these anything like this, any templates that you find online, you do want to make sure that on your printer it says 100%. So you want to make sure that it's not scaling it down at all, because otherwise the size will be all distorted, okay? So I've gone ahead and I've pre-cut one. So all I did was I took decided on the DSP that I wanted, and I want these little snowmen because they're just adorable. And I flipped it over, and then I put my template on here and I traced it. And then, oh, I think I added it even longer. I probably don't need that much length. So I'll probably trim that off because I added it when I did my template. Okay, so then I traced it with a pencil and then I like to use longer handled scissors for this type of cutting. I prefer my fine tip scissors when I'm doing smaller things or more intricate things. Okay, so we'll set that aside, and now we are going to stick this down. Now you can use, I don't recommend snail, just because this has a little bit of a glossy finish and you don't want it to pop apart. So you can use fast fuse or tear tape, but I'm going to use Tombow. And the reason why I'm going to use Tombow is because you have a little bit more time and flexibility to move, whereas fast fuse and tear and tape, once you stick it down, it's pretty much on there. It's like you can't lift it up without tearing it, and then wrecking your DSP. So I should have grabbed a different one. The thing with this is you do have to hold it because you need it to set. So I'm adding a little bit. Let's flip this over, make sure I've got the side that I want up. And I am not worried about lining it up at the top. I'm more worried about what the bottom is gonna look like, just because there's that little bit of an overhang at the top. So I'm just gonna keep going around, try to hold that in place. And then I'm gonna add some more adhesive. Just like this, keep going around. So you can see how I'm able to slide it up, adjust it, move it around as I need. Yeah, that's quite a bit of overlap. I didn't need that extra little bit there. I forgot that I had allowed for that when I cut my template. So we're just gonna remove that. And then at the end here, I am going to use some tear and tape. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna use mini glue dots just to stick them in there because it'll be easier to slide. Oh, there we go, it popped open. Let's use tear and tape. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a little piece of tear and tape on there. Run my finger over, make sure it's really sealed, and then quickly peel it back and fold that over. So, see how well that works? It works really well. And as long as you don't put your glue on too thick, then you're not gonna get that, you know how sometimes when you use liquid glue, you get that bubbly feel? You don't necessarily get that if you put it on really thin, okay? All right, so that's that base decorated. I got a little bit of extra glue. I'll have to go back with my adhesive eraser and fix that. And then I cut a strip of the red that I'm gonna put around the band. And for this one, I am going to use tear and tape. And you don't need it to go all the way around. Like you don't need to do a solid strip, although you can. Actually, let's just do a solid strip. Make it easier. Actually, I think I'll do it in 2 pieces. Yes, it is really easy. I always have to look. My mom's name and my aunt's name are the same. They're both Donna Powell. And so I always have to look at the profile picture to see if it's Mom who's responding or if it's Auntie Donna, and it's my Auntie Donna is on watching. Okay, so I'm just giving that tear and tape a little bit of a rub to make sure that it adheres. because remember, this is a little bit glossy. Okay, that should be good. I'll peel off the backing. So for those of you who are just joining in, we are using the sweet cups from the clearance rack to create this cute little snow globe. Good morning, Kathy. Using the snowman suite from, that's not what it's called, but the snowman suite from the holiday catalog. Okay, so, and the strip of this is just, I'm going by memory. I think it was 1 tick more than ½ an inch. So it's not a whole, it's not 3/8 of an inch, or sorry, it's not 5/8 of an inch. It's like a 1/16 more than ½ an inch, if that makes sense. So it's just a bit bigger than ½ an inch. So I'm just putting this all the way around, and I cut it 12 inches, but you'll see I'll have to trim a little bit off because 12 inches is a bit long. Okay, so now I'm going to cut just one more little piece of tear and tape. Let's trim this a little bit here. And I'm just going to tuck this underneath here. And peel it back. There we go. Okay, so now our sweet cup is decorated. Okay, so let's work on the inside here. Okay, so I have got a circle that I cut out of the same pattern, except instead of the little snowman, this time we're going to use the back side. So it looks like it's snowing in our snow globe. And this is the largest circle from the Layering Circles dies. So it's this biggest circle. And you'll see when I put it in, there's still quite a bit of room in there, but you're not going to notice that once the snow globe gets put on there. So don't worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to use, oh, before I do that, I need to do something to this. We need to stamp it. So I'm going to bring in my Memento ink because, of course, I'm coloring with my Stampin' blends. Love my Stampin' blends. So I'm just going to stamp this on here. Like that. And then I've also got a piece of Whisper White cardstock, so I'm going to stamp him again on Whisper White. And so the snowman is from the Snowman Season stamp set. So this is it's part of the Snowman Suite. And there is a coordinating punch that will punch this guy out along with his arms, and I can't remember what else is on the punch. It's really cute. Okay, so now we are going to color him in, and I'm going to use my Stampin' blends. So I've got some Pool Party Light and Dark, and I'm just going to color in the stripes on his hat. And on his scarf. Can add a bit of shadowing. I mean, with something so small, you don't necessarily need to add any kind of detail. It's really hard to notice it. And then I'm going to take Light and Dark Real Red and color in the rest of his hat. So I'm going to do both the rim and the top of his hat. And then his scarf as well. Oh, I pulled off the wrong end here. Okay, just do a bit of blending and then color his scarf And his nose I'll do in pumpkin pie. And then I'm going to add a little bit of detail to him just to make him feel like he's got a bit more dimension, and it's really, really subtle. So I'm taking my light pumpkin pie. You can also do this with light smoky slate, and I'm just adding kind of where I think that there might be a bit of shadow. I'm just adding a bit of Pool Party. And then I'm gonna just leave that sit for a minute. Let's color his nose while I'm waiting. Use some light pumpkin pie and then some dark for a little bit of shadow. Blend a little bit. And then I'm gonna take my color lifter and I wanna soften that blue just a little bit. So I want to try to avoid doing this when it's wet, and so that's why I gave it a bit of time. And I'm just kind of pulling the color out. So I'll bring it up closer so I don't know if you guys will be able to see. It's really, really subtle, and you have to give it a couple minutes for it to set. So it just softens it and gives it a bit of a shadow in there. I don't know how well you guys can see that. And now what I'm gonna do, I wanna give the snowman, yeah, you can't see that. So I apologize, but trust me, it just makes it a little bit more subtle. So now I'm gonna take my Wink of Stella, and basically where I had that Pool Party highlight, I'm just gonna make him sparkle. So it looks like the snow is glistening. You can color the whole thing in too if you want. I just want that touch of sparkle. Okay. So we'll put those away. And then I've gone ahead and I've fussy cut him. I didn't think that you would need to do this. So I am doing a technique called paper piecing. So what I did was I cut his arms off, and I cut, you know, when I normally cut things out, I like to leave a little bit of a white border or whatever color is around the edges. I like to leave a little bit of a border just because then it doesn't show your imperfections. But for this, because I'm gonna piece it right on top, I cut right on that black line all the way around. Like even his hat, I cut into each one of those little pom-pom sprigs. I know it's hard to see. But then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stick him right over top of my stamped image, and now he's got arms and it looks like he belongs there, okay? Because I could have fussy cut around those twigs, but oh man, why bother? Like they're just so fine, right? Okay, so I'm gonna use dimensionals to stick him on, and I'm gonna be quite generous with my dimensionals. Okay, and then we'll add him to the circle. And then I'm going to stick my circle onto my lid. Okay, see how that looks now? It looks like he's meant to be there. Okay, so let's take our lid off. Now I'm going to look at where the seam is. I'm going to make sure that's up there. And then this is going to get stuck on. I'm going to use Tombow, and I'm going to use quite a bit of it. So I want the seam to be at the back of my snow globe. So it'll be at the top of the snowman. I'll just kind of center that as best as I can in there. Okay, now I do not like these black little bits of snow, so I'm going to cover those over. And I know when it's in the shaker, you wouldn't really notice it, but if it's all fallen down to the bottom, you would see those black bits. So what I like to do when I do shakers is I like to stick some sequins or some of whatever's in my shaker down on the card or whatever it is that you're doing, so that when it all is at the bottom, so if this was a card and it was standing up and everything is sitting at the bottom, you would still see some of that snow in the sky. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm gonna basically cover over each one of these little black snowflakes, and I'll add a couple extras. I'll start with that. I'm gonna use my take your pick tool to pick up, and I'm gonna use a combination of white and the silver that's in here. And these are our snowflake sequins that are in the holiday catalog. So there's a combination of stars, snowflakes, little circle sequence, there's clear, there's a little bit of everything in here. I really like this sequence, and you guys have probably guessed that because I've used it quite a bit. I'll add an extra one over here. Okay, so we'll get those filled in. Star. One thing, if you do have this, sometimes they clump together, so you'll end up with a big thick batch of them. So you might have to separate them. Let's do another silver. Oh, that glare, it's hard to see here. Let's do a silver one here. And a couple more white ones. Oh, that's silver. I'm not very good with tweezers. I know some people are really good with tweezers and they use their tweezers for this. I find the take your pick tool works well, and then I'll just use my finger or sometimes paper piercer to position it in place. Okay, that's good. Now I'm just going to use my paper piercer and just make sure that they're pushed down. And it's okay if glue seeps out the side. You might end up with some of the shaker bits sticking to it, but that's fine. It just adds to it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, oh, I still need some of these. Did I add this? Yes, I did. Okay, so we're going to add just a little bit of this, and I'm just going to try to concentrate everything that's going in my shaker in the center. You want to avoid it going around the edges because that's where we need to stick our snow globe. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of those in there. I'm going to put, let's pick up all these extra little bits here. And then I'm going to take a little bit of our ice stamping glitter. So this is a shimmery glitter, but it's a little thicker than our dazzling diamonds. Why is this? There we go. Okay. So, and I'm going to carefully pour some of that in the center. And then I've got some of this artificial snow. So this is a package I've had for years. I don't know if this, you'll still be able to find this, but you'll be able to find something. So it's called Snowflakes. The brand is Soft Snow. And I just picked it up at my local craft store. So I'm gonna take some of that and put that in the center. Just because this is a larger, I wouldn't necessarily use this on a shaker card on a card, like on a card, but this is a larger shaker. So you need something to fill this in. That might be a bit much. Okay, so I'm carefully pushing everything back into the center. And then I'm gonna take my snow globe, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use mini glue dots, and I'm gonna be quite generous with the mini glue dots because you don't want that stuff falling out. So I'm basically just going to stick the edge on there, and if it overhangs, that's just fine. So every maybe 1.5 inches, I'll add a mini glue dot. So I'm just going around, and it's just automatically picking them up because I'm applying a fair bit of pressure. Maybe a couple more. Actually, that should be good. Okay. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna carefully place this over top. And push down. Now, and then I'm going to look around and see, because when I did the other one, a couple of my glue dots kind of stuck around the edge of the lid, but this one looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. And look at that. Isn't it adorable? Glue gun or E6000 work? Yeah, it would. I'm not a fan of a glue gun. I cannot get it to work properly. I'm not fast enough. I think that's my problem. Tombow, I probably wouldn't do Tombow, and the reason for that is because Tombow, when it dries, it's tacky. So then you will get all of your sequins kind of sticking around the edges. And if you use a glue gun or the E6000, I think that would work fine too, as long as you can get a thin bead all the way around and you let it completely dry before you shake it, before you mix that in, okay? Either one of those options, the glue gun or the E6000, would definitely ensure that nothing's gonna fall out, because that fine glitter, that ice stamping glitter that I used, I would imagine that over time, some of that might seep out the cracks here. But for the most part, people are gonna be shaking it like this. They're not gonna be tipping it around. Okay? All right, so now this is going to go on our box like that. And then I just felt like it needed a little ribbon, a little bow, because everything needs a bow, right, Mary Liz? Everything is better with a bow. So you can see here that I've added a little bow. So this is the curly ribbon that is part of this suite. So I'm just tying a bow. Yeah. Okay. And then I'll just trim it a little bit. Now let's make this so that it's even. Oh. Okay. And I have a little tag. What did I do with my, here it is. Okay, so this is a tag that I cut from the mini curvy keepsake box. I think that's what it's called, the mini one. That is also part of this suite. So this is one of the dies that's in there. And I'm going to take the to and from that is in this stamp set, and I'm just going to ink up the to and stamp it, and then I'm going to clean it. I have my cleaner here somewhere. You should see the condition of my stamp room. I have a retreat this weekend, and I've got Stamp Cafe next weekend, and every table is covered. The floor, there's stuff everywhere. It's just, oh, it's crazy. Things have been a little hairy. So I cleaned the stamp, and then, oh, I got ink around the edges. Let's just clean that, try again. And now I'm going to just ink up the from. Let's do it this way. And then I'm going to stamp the from. It's not a whole lot of room to write on there, but you can fit what you need to fit in there. Okay, so I use Coastal Cabana to do that. And then I have some silver. Oh, did anybody else freeze? Amy said that hers is frozen. I'm still going on my end. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut a little piece of the silver thread. You could also use white baker's twine. It doesn't have to be this fine little thread. I'm just gonna feed that through the hole and then set it on top of my bow. Even out these ends. Oh, you lost me? Sounds like my living room. And now, thanks to this, I have to pack the bits for this. You're welcome, Mary Liz. Okay, so now I'm just gonna tie a little knot. Which isn't the easiest thing to do with this little thread. It's so fine. There we go, we'll trim off the excess. Everybody else seems to be fine, Amy. Okay, so now I'm going to add a couple glue dots right here. And I'm gonna use 2 just because you're gonna be pulling the lid on and off, and I don't want my bow to fall off. So I'll just use 2 side by side. And then add my bow. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to attach this tag to the base, because when you do that, you can't take the lid all the way off. Okay, so learn from my mistakes. All right, isn't that cute? And it's really simple. Don't you think these would be adorable for Christmas dinner? You could put little candies inside, little treats inside, or homemade cookies, and just have those. You could make this like a place setting, so you could have everybody's name on there and have that sitting on their plate. They'd be adorable. Even, you don't have to do them for Christmas. You could do a shaker globe and make it more fall themed too, and have it for Thanksgiving. So adorable. So cute. I love it. All right, so that's it for today. Yeah, it's a great party gift. You're right, Donna. So that's it for today. So next week I will be back to my regular Friday live. And hopefully I'll have something fun for you, because I'll be crafting all weekend. I'm heading out to retreat on Thursday and back on Sunday. Yes, that's right, Michelle. That is a great idea. You could tuck some cash in here. That's a great way to present cash. I tried a gift card and a gift card doesn't really fit. So yeah, so fun. All right, so have a fabulous, well, what's left of the week and weekend, and I will see you next Friday. All right, take care, guys.